And we are recording. Welcome everyone to our March version of the Accelerator Career Group. We're so happy to have you all here. If I have not had the pleasure of meeting you, I am Mindy Stern, and I have been hosting the Accelerator Career Group for almost 6 years. Can't believe that. In May, it will be 6 years. If it's the first time that you are joining us in this kind of group, please put the number 1 in the chat so we can welcome you properly. I know there were a couple of first timers as I was going around the room. And let's see. And while, Maria, Suzanne, Susan, Vic, I don't think that's your first time, but that's okay. Leslie, Christy, Courtney, Amy, wow. Wow. And another Susan, wow. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. If you have not yet done so, put your LinkedIn URL into the chat so people can connect with you. And if you are open to connections, let us know that. We want to know. And if you'd like to tell us what kind of job you're looking for, we never know who's on these calls and who might be seeing it. I do post the replay on YouTube, so anyone might be seeing it at any time. So definitely feel free to put the kind of job that you're looking for in the chat, and we'll have that there. Excellent. If we are not, you and I are not connected, let's fix that. You just connect to me, no problem. And I will always accept connections from people who come onto our calls. We launched the Accelerator Career Group in 2020 as a result of COVID and so many people losing their jobs at that time. And what began as a very, very small group of 6 people has grown. We're close to 800 people right now. And so if you're not yet a part of our private LinkedIn community and you would like to get invited to it, connect with me and then I will invite you. Or Lori will put the, she put the link in the chat already to join the Accelerated Career Group, and then I will go in and accept them after our call. And we post coming attractions, we post resources in there, so you always know what's happening with the group, and everyone in there is a job seeker or someone who supports job seekers. So I am honored to have helped so many people in this group, whether it's LinkedIn profile makeovers or job search strategies or interview prep. That's what I do. That's what I love to do. And what's so funny is I'm going to introduce Carrie in a moment, but when Carrie and I first connected, it was a little over a year ago. I was shocked, Carrie, when I look back to see when we first connected, because I feel like I've known her forever. But
agreed.
she and I developed this relationship just through our commenting on LinkedIn. So if you ever doubt the power of comments, don't doubt it. This is how we connected. We have been on so many projects together, both Carrie and I, and we've collaborated in so many great areas. So just start commenting. If you're not doing it yet, I encourage you to begin there. It's so easy and you meet so many great people. I think Al and I also connected through comments, and probably Linda and I as well. Mm-hmm. It's just a great way to understand people who have like feelings about, like you do, who like the same things, who feel the same way about certain things, and maybe can push you to be better and do more. Speaking of Al, our next event is April 14th. Mark your calendars. Al, we already have over 40 people signed up for that, and I only promoted it one time, so I'm a little nervous. We got to 115 with Carrie's registrations. Al, we're going to get over 115 for you, I hope, for sure. But anyway, that link is in your chat now. He is going to be talking about how to differentiate yourself in the job market, which is so critical. You know, with AI, everyone can have a pretty good resume, right? Chat does a pretty good job of it. Not great. We have to fix it up. We have to make it more of our own. But you have a lot of competition out there. And if you don't find a way to differentiate yourself, you're going to be like everyone else. So that's what Al's going to focus on next month. And I'm excited. And he's a great speaker and a great guy. So I'm excited about that. So don't miss that. The other thing, for those of you who are new, who may not know, I create nuggets from our conversation today. So what that means is, as you hear Carrie say something that strikes you, that makes sense to you, that you want others to remember, just put it into the chat. Just, if you'll notice, Linda did one. She wrote nugget. Linda, thank you. She's such a prime example of what to do. Beautiful. Nugget, comments can help you build connections, relationships, and your personal brand. That is so true. Thank you so much. So that's going to be a nugget. It's going to be one of the nuggets that's going to be in my post tomorrow. And so if you want to be featured tomorrow in my post, put a nugget in there and we'll grab it. And now Sue Griffey also knows how to comment well and give nuggets. She's going to be adding to that. So you're going to see a whole bunch of things in the chat. I recommend that you do hit the three dots. If anyone doesn't know how to save the chat, hit those three dots, top right corner, and you can say save chat, which I'm doing right now. And I do it a couple of times during our call so we don't lose it. Okay, so anything you hear, we're going to put there. It also helps you remember it better. And I'm going to introduce Carrie. So Carrie and I said met on LinkedIn, weird, and now we're like besties and we talk all the time. And it's very amazing the relationships that you can build just through talking with each other and building important opportunities with each other. She is the founder of Aligned to Success. She's been doing this for many, many years. And what she's going to share with us is something that's so critical. It's how do we craft a story so that we become memorable? Okay, it's kind of part of what we're going to talk about next month with Al about being a differentiator. You need to differentiate yourself from the pack, right? If you go online, I looked on a couple of years ago, you were able to sort how many people are in your particular industry. There were 53,000 career coaches the last time I looked. So we have to do something that's unique to separate us from other people, right? So I'm going to turn the floor over to Carrie. Carrie has a short presentation, and then we're going to be open to questions. I want you to be thinking about what you can tell in your story, or how you can tell your story, because that's what Carrie's going to share with us today. Carrie, the floor is yours.
Okay, excellent. And I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for that nice intro, Mindy. And I will say what you did. We met on LinkedIn. It's something that we talk about a lot. I think most people on this call have heard many people talk about that, and it really works. It's really true. And so, a little bit about me. So, I really am, as Mindy mentioned, the founder of Aligned to Success, expert job search strategist, LinkedIn trainer, speaker. And my whole purpose is to help create strategies with job seekers to really turn your job search into a job offer. That's what I do every day, and I love what I do. The interesting thing is this. I've also been in your place. I've also been right where you are in my journey as well. And like so many people in 2020, right, the pandemic happened, and I was laid off from a job that I totally loved. I loved everything about my team, about my people, about the things that we were building. We were building a group of brand new people and loved everything about it. And so, you know, that feeling, like I remember it like it was yesterday, that pit in your stomach, and you're just like, oh my gosh, right? Like, what am I going to do? Right. And it was an interesting time in the world. And so then I reflected on my background and I had to think about it, but that self-doubt definitely happened, you guys. I mean, that's definitely there. But I pushed that aside and said, okay, wait a minute. So I have 30 plus years of experience in corporate America working with startups and established organizations. And listen, I have completely built whole entire recruitment strategies from the ground up, from nothing. And most of my companies that were that way, built the teams and implemented the applicant tracking system. I've literally worked with hundreds of hiring managers, hired thousands of people, and you know, had the opportunity to learn on both be on both sides of that desk. And so I'm like, I have all of this knowledge and skill. I need to be able to help people. The one thing I always loved about what I did in corporate America was knowing I'm going to change your life because I'm going to help you get that position. And I believed in every organization that I ever worked for. So I knew it was going to be a good opportunity. So that's when I founded Aligned to Success. And I'm here today, one of the best decisions I ever made in my career. And it does show you how things can really change and how things can turn out completely different. So I just want you guys to know that I'm definitely with you and I feel you, and we're really in this together, and excited to be here and get started. So I'm going to share my presentation and we'll get started. Does that sound good? So as Mindy said, we're going to talk a little bit about from interview to offer. and the strategy that gets you hired. So I want you to think about this. Think about the last time you got behind the wheel and without a destination in your GPS, you probably drove around for a little while. You might have gotten lost. And there's a really good chance that maybe you wasted time and you wasted gas, right? The exact same thing happens when you walk into an interview and you're not prepared and you don't have a strategy to actually know how to articulate and how to share all the amazing things about what the impact that you bring and your success is. So now imagine the opposite, where you've checked your route, you filled your gas tank, and you're really familiar with all the turns and twists in your drive that day. And what happens then is that you end up actually having confidence. You're driving with confidence because you know exactly where you're going to go and you're in control and you have the tools to help you to get there, right? And that is exactly what interview preparation is all about. And so I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step roadmap today to help you stand out and to win. And that's why this is all really important. Here's why this story sort of resonated with me. I'm a little bit directionally challenged, I would say. I did, however, get a little bit better as I worked in corporate America. I worked remote a lot. A lot of my corporations were housed in a different city and state. And so I traveled probably 2 or 3 times a month, which was normal for me. I literally had to figure out how to drive and drive back and forth to the airport and discover and get to my hotel and locations that I was going to be visiting. And so I did learn to do that. However, I'm nothing like my husband, who is this person that literally, we were in San Francisco, California. The man can drive into the city without a map and come out the exact same way that he went in. Okay, I'm not that person. So that's why this analogy sort of worked for me. And you're going to kind of see that we'll use that same. We're going to talk about cars today. So buckle up and we'll get started. I always like to start with a quote. And here's this one's so perfect. So by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail by Benjamin Franklin. Tell me in the chat, who's actually heard this quote? I'm sure there's lots of people that have actually heard this, right? And so this is so relevant because it's exactly in line with interviews. It's absolutely true for interviews, right? And here's what happens. Lots of people, listen, and this is great. Lots of people have great resumes, right? You have an optimized resume. It's very articulate. It tells your story. It tells who you are. It tells the impact you make. Great. Then you have a really great optimized LinkedIn profile and you're getting visibility. You're getting networking conversations and, you're getting interviews. You're talking to people. You're networking. And then what happens is you walk into the interview, right? And you have no strategy to actually help you be able to answer these questions. If you miss that piece, you will not get hired. And when I say this, it's because I definitely have disqualified people, and I'll talk about that too throughout our presentation today. But let me ask you this, everyone here, think about this. How many of you have ever walked out of an interview and thought, man, I could have done a much better job at that? Or maybe you thought, I didn't do a good job. I didn't answer that. I don't think I answered that question. Or maybe you even thought, I think I went too long. I think I probably gave too many details on what I actually wanted to say. And so when you think about those things, we need to make sure that you're prepared so that when you're walking into that interview, you're confident. Because here's the reality, and I can do this myself. They can sense if you have confidence or not. It is very evident to people. So we want to make sure by giving you the right strategy to help you do that, you're going to be ready to answer those questions. And I think that most of us have probably been there, and it's okay. It doesn't mean that we're not qualified or we don't have experience. It just means that we haven't had the opportunity to build out that strategy. We already talked a little bit about me. Here's a couple of ways that you can actually contact me, certainly directly, but also love to connect with people on LinkedIn. I did put my link in the chat. I'll put it in there again as well, just so you have that information. So let's talk about what we're going to review today. We're going to talk a little bit about preparing for your interview, how really important that is. We're going to talk about creating cart stories. And now some of you might be thinking, okay, now I've heard of car and I've heard of star, but I don't know what a cart is. And I'm going to tell you what that is. We're going to talk through that. The other thing is, and Mindy kind of said this too, in this market, we have to do everything we can. And I would say every tool in your job search toolbox, you need to find ways to stand out. And so that's going to be really important. And that is also relevant for doing and being part of your interview. The other thing I want to touch on briefly is there are times where things may not be as clear. And so I have 7 areas companies typically focus on and really want to know answers to. And I'll explain what that means too. There is also a bonus here. If you stay to the end, we actually are going to share with you a guide to help you create your cart stories. It literally is going to explain what cart means. It's going to give the explanations. You have a space, it has examples, it has multiple examples for you. And then there's a space you can actually create them. And so it'll just be something that you can use as a tool. And as you walk away today, you'll have something that can help you build out that strategy very quickly. So interview success it's not about luck, right? It's about being prepared. People that know me, my clients, people in my groups, they understand me. I say this a lot. When you show you are the solution to what they need, they will want to hire you. Okay. The other thing I want you to think about when you think about an interview, you need to kind of change your mindset. And this is what I mean by that. And as much as interviews are about you, and yes, you're interviewing them too, it's actually more about them. And the more that you can show them and showcase and show them the impact that you've made in your organization, but how you can actually help them with what they're looking for, that's actually what's going to make the biggest difference. Let me give you a really quick example. So I was interviewing for a recruiter position. This was many, many years ago. I was talking to the VP of sales and marketing. He was going to be my direct manager. And he sat there, he began to tell me his goals and what he wanted to meet. And so right then and there, as he was saying that, I said, okay, well, what if I could do A, B, and C, take that off your plate and allow you to work on E and F and G, and then we can actually get there together a lot quicker. Do you know, I lived 30 minutes away from that office. By the time I got home, he was literally calling me, offering me the position. And this would have been a brand new position for the company. Point is, I was able to connect with him and easily tell him how I could help him solve for what he was trying to do. If you can master this, this is going to be one of those things that's going to differentiate if you can get that position. Preparation starts with research, right? Think of the research part as your fuel. Do not miss this piece. This is so important. And it's not enough just to have the job description, know the name of the company. You really kind of need to go deeper. Go review the company on LinkedIn, go to their LinkedIn page, look at their profiles, look if you have the interviewer names. I know sometimes you may not have their names. I would always try to get their names if you're interviewing, but if you have the people's names, go check out their profiles as well. Note any major projects, successes, recent events that they've talked about. If you're talking, go and looking at the person, do they have something personal that they're working on that resonates with you? Here's why this is important. If you can also find something that you might have in common with the interviewer, let me give you an example of what this could mean. You go to a party, you're with a friend, they introduce you to someone you've never known. And in that beginning of that conversation, you realize, oh my gosh, we were both born and raised in the same city in the same state, which by the way, you both don't live in there anymore. But how awesome is that? Like, and it's very rare that you actually find people like that. Actually, just happened to me last week. That doesn't happen a lot. Point is this: when you leave that party, you're going to go talk about, you're going to say, yeah, I met so and so, and they are from we were born and raised in the same place. They know our area. And you have all this in common. That is making yourself memorable. And it's going to make you stand out amongst, maybe they're talking to 10 people. You're going to stand out. Find out, know what they do, know who they serve, who are their clients, where are they located. These are really important things. And you can literally write this down, have it in front of you. If you're on a video call, right, you can have that information in front of you. They're not going to see that. But make sure that you know all of those details about the organization, because then you can also talk about it. And when you start and you can, actually have a conversation about it, they're going to be like, from the recruitment side, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this person actually did their research. They actually know what we do. And that's really important. The other thing I would say, your questions that you ask at the end should not include any of these things, because it also then would show them you didn't do, like, you shouldn't ask them, tell me more about what you do and tell me more about where you're located. Those are not the questions you want to ask, because it's going to also make them say, This person really did not do their research, right? And so that's why that's really important. Visit their company website, their careers page. Lots of companies have career pages. Look at their mission, their vision, their values. Is there something in there that resonates with you? You can also talk about those things as well. So this is one of those strategies that we talk about to actually help you be able to connect why you are the solution to what they're looking for. So understanding the job description is not a nice to have, it's a must. This is my recommendation. And whether you like to do it online or you like to write it out, you do you. Literally take that job description, put it into a document. I want you to put spaces underneath every single thing that this company is looking for. Go back into your job search history and all of your stories and create your stories that match what it is that they're looking for and they need this position, this person to do. So when I talk about position yourself as the solution, this is a really good way to be able to do that. Your job description should be your book, or it's your roadmap to help you figure out the best way to position yourself as that solution. Okay. And then practice those stories. So, one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is that they go on and on and on and on. So, for example, I've literally had interviews where I ask that first question, tell me about yourself. And 15 minutes later, we have a 30-minute conversation. And 15 minutes later, they're literally still talking about their history. That is not what recruiters want to hear. That's not what hiring managers want to hear. And to be frank, and I know it's really direct, they don't care. They do not care about all that detail. The thing they care about most is how what you did, your impact, and how you can potentially help them. What makes you different than all the other people that they're talking to? So again, the one way that we can do that is by using this card format. Let's kind of go through what that means. So the C is for challenge. What was the specific problem? Action. What did you specifically do? And again, lots of people partner, like maybe you partnered with sales and marketing. That's great. And you can say that, but don't spend your time there. Spend your time, because people do like to see that you collaborate, but spend your time talking to them about the result, which is what changed because of your actions. What is it that you did? And when you go through and you think about these pieces, sometimes you got to really think about it, which is why the preparation piece is so important. So you can put those together, right? So I personally added the T, which is the tie back. And it's so funny. I actually created a post about this on LinkedIn. And there was somebody from Canada, and he was like, Carrie, he's like, this is brilliant. Like, he didn't think about the T. And he's like, I'm going to use that. I'm like, great. That's awesome. That's amazing. And the T is important because if you can tie back what you're doing, this out and what that outcome is and how it could actually help that company, again, you're tying yourself into how you can help solve for them, right? And so that's what makes this just a little bit different. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about, what actually I'm going to show you an example of what this looks like. Okay, let's do that. Here's an example. And we'll read this together. So this is actually for like a project manager position. So my team faced and then I'll read it out. So my team faced a tight deadline to deliver a critical project for a client. So what I did was I organized a daily stand-up meeting to prioritize tasks and implement Asana for streamlined communication. What ended up happening we exceeded our client expectations by delivering 2 days early, and we also increased team productivity by 15%. And it's a really great example of how I don't wait for problems to escalate. I build structure and remove obstacles before they actually happen. I would absolutely bring that same approach to your team. So when you read that, can you see the difference in how powerful even that tie back piece is? It gives you an opportunity to highlight, exactly what you did and how you can actually help them as well. So why should we use the CART method, right? And again, having a structure to help you design so that you don't, right? You don't ramble. Because listen, I don't know, I'm a talker. I definitely can talk, and that's okay, except for it's not a good time to do that when we're in an interview, right? And here's the other thing about this. Speaking from experience from working with hiring managers and doing so many interviews myself, you are expected to be able to articulate what you do. If you cannot do it quickly, you will be disqualified. I have personally disqualified people that could not articulate it. I've had hiring managers come back to me and say, Carrie, they couldn't tell me what they did. They had no idea how to do that. Again, it doesn't mean you're not experienced and you don't have that expertise, but you have to be able to know how to do this. So having a structure to help you design what those answers could be and tell your stories properly, that's going to be really helpful. It's going to give clarity around what you do, and then you're also going to be able to deliver that impact. You see how in the example, how we talked about at the end, how they actually, they don't wait for problems to escalate. They actually are proactive. So that's a really good message. And that's a really powerful statement to say. So it really showcases you in a better light. And then it also connects the dots. And I have clients say to me, well, Carrie, they have my resume. And yes, they certainly do have your resume. However, they will not connect the dots. They will not do it. Again, they are talking to multiple people. And this is also what happens. I've had this happen. You might have a hired manager walk into the room from a meeting that ran 20 minutes late. They don't even have a resume of yours. And so they are not going to connect the dots. You have to do that for them. Here's the other thing that I would say when you're in your interview is to always talk about the things that put you in the best light and always stay positive. And that can happen even if you get the questions about tell me about challenges or explain to me, what are your weaknesses. There's always a way to turn a positive into a negative. So always keep that in the back of your mind when you're creating your stories as well. And remember, they don't want your life story, right? At all. And they really want to know, again, what you did and the impact you had and how that can actually relate to what they're looking for. Here's another thing that I tell people, and it's super helpful. Practice out loud. Listen, we have phones. Take your phone, videotape yourself, get your stories straight, get your stories created, and start videoing yourself. This is what you're going to do. You are your own worst critic, right? Go back, look at the video, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I don't even know. Okay, I talk with my hands a lot, right? So maybe you're like, what are my hands doing? Or what am I looking like that for? And then you may hear yourself talk and you'd be like, that does not even sound right. Like that doesn't even make sense. So do that, videotape yourself and have family, friends critique, have them look at it with you and help you to hone in and make it so that you like the way that it sounds. Here's what happens. Just like anything else, it's like riding a bike. It's like playing a game. It's about learning a new strategy. Anything that you do takes practice. And the more you practice, the more you do it, the more it's going to authentically come and the more easily, and the confidence that you're going to have in your interview is going to come with that as well. So I actually have a really great example of this. Sometimes people will come to me and say, Carrie, listen, I don't even have a great job description. Well, here's the reality. Not all companies are great at writing job descriptions. I think every company I've ever worked for, I always had to rewrite them. So that's a reality, number one. So I actually had a client and she was doing amazing. She was talking to people, she was networking, she was having great conversations, and she literally had a referral to go and have a conversation with another person about this job. It was a marketing position. Well, in the interim, she had no job description because the person just referred her to actually have the conversation. And she went on the job. And so I said, okay, so we went on the website and there was a job description, but it was really, really vague. There wasn't a whole bunch of information there, right? So as much as I talk about the job description being your roadmap, in a scenario where maybe you don't have all the details, there are typically there's 7 core areas that companies want to know about. So this can help you be able to create your stories. If you can create stories around these 7 topics, there's a good chance that you'll be able to cover a lot of the things that they're considering. They are going to want to know tell me about your internal and external communication with people. So have some stories around that. They want to understand, do you know how to solve problems? And how have you done it? What has been the outcome, the impact? We kind of talked about that. Passions and drivers. Are you passionate about what you do? What gets you up in the morning? What gets you excited about being a part of a team? Which, by the way, I always ask that question. The exact value that you bring, the impact that you make. How do you handle mistakes? How do you handle, and what is the outcome when you're doing that? Serving customers, employees, how do you do that well? And then developing people. Now, listen, if you're in a management position, yes, this would definitely relate to the people that may report to you. If you're not in a management position, this really is also about developing and being that example for your peers. How many times have you had a manager that you're actually helping to develop them as well? I've actually had many of them in my career, and so that's what that also means as well. And so this is another thing that comes up a lot. So I wanted to give you guys some insight about this. So what do you do? What do you do? You're in your interview and you have no idea. You don't know you don't have experience in what they're asking, and you don't really know how to answer the question. And so there's a couple things that you can actually do. So it does the tone, right? Keep your confidence. That's a really big part of it, right? Stay positive, smile, remain, and so that nothing changes. And you could also start by saying, thanks for asking. That's a really great question. And so in this example, maybe they're asking about a certain methodology. And this is what you could say if you've never used that methodology. You could say something like this. I've yet to use that methodology, but I have used a different methodology. Explain it really quick, a few sentences. When I have something new to learn, these are the exact steps I take to get up to speed quickly. Tell them the two things you do to get ready to learn something new. I absolutely love encountering things I haven't learned yet because that is how we grow. So now what we did, it was a question you didn't know or didn't have an answer to. You can go right into how you like to learn new things and explain to them how you do that and that you enjoy learning new things and it's part of growth. And maybe you don't have an example of something similar. That's okay too, right? But you can still go right into telling them how you learned something new. And then you're right, you're going to take the driver's seat. And so you get toward the end of your conversation, and this is what I would say, do not skip this piece either. And I have a great story for you on this. So I was hiring for account executives, and myself and my VP of sales did the first interviews. We did the first two interviews, had a great conversation with this candidate. This candidate gets to my CEO and he asks him, do you have any questions for me? And the candidate said, no, actually, I think Carrie and Austin really answered all my questions. Okay, that is the wrong answer. And what it told my CEO, and the first thing he said was, this person's not curious. And listen, there is no possible way you can know everything about a company in 2, 3, 4, 5 conversations. It's not possible. You need to be prepared to have questions at every step of your process. I don't care if you're talking to 10 people, you need to have that ready for you. We did not hire that person, and he didn't get hired. So it really could cost you it could cost you the position. Okay. So that's how important this is. Have a couple ready. The first one, I have a couple examples for you. The first one is, what do you enjoy most about working here? This one you can ask everybody that you're talking to. It's going to be a different answer. I would also say be intentional about the questions you're asking because the learning you could potentially get is going to be helpful for you as you are moving through your process. But also, if they say something and you can instantly give an example of something you've done, again, you've made that connection with them as a person and then also, for that potential position. So when you ask that first question, what can what can you learn about the person? Listen to what they say. What is their tone? Do they talk about the culture? Do they talk about the team? Do they talk about the organization or what they're doing? Do they pause? You can learn a lot from people. So you can really glean information that can help you in your decision making. Here's another one. How does this position align with the company's overall goals? It's really interesting and great to understand the big picture of the organization. And again, that tells you, right, what your role is going to be in that big picture. So then it can help you either in that direct moment or as you continue through that hiring process. Last one, what inefficiency or challenge do you most hope this person will help you solve? You're asking them, what is it that you need this person to do? Again, that's going to give you information so you can help to go back and respond, or typically just be able to, add value to that or that conversation, or use it as you go forward in your conversations with other people. So don't skip this piece. The other thing I would say is about managing your presence. And as you're in there talking with them, again, that confidence is really important. They can really sense that piece of it, right? And then also your body language. Just why I say you video yourself. Like again, I know I personally talk with my hands, so that's me. I also wear my emotions on my face a lot. So like if you're looking at yourself and you're like, I can't look like that, right? So be mindful of how that looks. You can kind of get an idea about that. Here's the other thing about it is the energy that you bring. Now, some people are just they don't have that's just not their personality. You really, and I'm not talking about over the top crazy energy. I'm talking about engaging. Thank you so much. That's really interesting. I'm excited about that, the idea, or really engage. And here's the thing. I've done it. I've had so many conversations. I can actually feel this over a phone call. I don't even have to be online. I don't even have to be on a visual call or in person with someone. I can tell that this energy, it does make a difference. And because it matters to them because they're thinking, well, is this person going to be able to have great conversations internally or externally if it's a sales position, how are they going to be with my clients? And so they're kind of gauging those things. And remember, the reason we talk about the strategies to help you build your stories is that you are expected to come and be the very best version of yourself in every single interview that you go to. And if that's not there, they're going to notice. And your tone is also a big thing. Now I know lots of people, they're really soft spoken, and so I don't mean, being super loud, but again, and it may be uncomfortable for some people, make sure that your tone is positive and they can hear you. If you're too quiet, they might think, oh my gosh, like I can't even hear this person talk. Again, they're analyzing how is it that this person's going to interact with my team and my customers. So make sure that that's there too. So let me ask you guys, how many of you put a one in the chat? How many people send thank you notes when they're done with their interviews? Okay, great. And this is so important. I would highly recommend sending it within 24 hours if you can. Here's the other thing. It is a great way to actually continue to share why you're the solution. So thank them for the conversation. Think of something you talked about that really resonated with you. But I'd also say, you had a conversation with them. What is one thing? Pick one thing they said that they needed. And in that thank you note, say, I'm really excited about A, B, and C because I know I can help solve this with D, E, and F. Okay. Thank them for their time. I'm super interested in joining the team. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Here's the reality. In so many people that I've talked to, many people do not do this, you guys. They do not do this. And you'd think it seems really common and really standard. They don't. And so when I would get this, it is shared with the entire hiring team. And my hiring managers are like, oh my gosh, that is so great. They're definitely interested. They went the extra step. And I love what they said about this and that. That is amazing. I'm excited about the opportunity of having this person join our team as we go through the process. That's what they're seeing on the other side. And that's how important that can be too. And when we talk about those things that can help you stand out, this is one of those things. Don't be afraid to send it snail mail. Email's great, but don't be afraid to send a note and then snail mail. Listen, people don't get mail. And so it's going to stand out. So if you want to make a bigger impact, do it that way as well. So you can see that all the things that we talked about, these are strategies to help you be able to get prepared, know the company, know what they do, get your stories in order, get them created, practice them. The more you do it, the more that it's going to become second nature and you're going to start to have those conversations, right? And then interviews actually stop feeling like interrogations and you're prepared and you have an idea. You stay in control, you build connection, you become memorable. And that is what the difference is and how interviews can actually help you lead to that offer. Okay, Mindy, that's all I had.
That is fabulous, Carrie. Thank you so much. I am going to just remove the spotlight because I want everyone to see everyone's faces. And
Yes.
we have a few minutes for questions. I want to emphasize some of the things that Carrie said because
Mhm.
I've also been in that position where I have hired and I have fired and I have coached people about how to really get hired. And it's not just getting that resume, and it's not just having a great LinkedIn profile. What you say in those interviews is so critical. One of the things that people don't realize is that everyone who's being asked to come into an interview is pretty qualified. They're not wasting time talking to people who are not qualified, right? So
Yeah.
everyone that you are in the waiting room with is qualified for the job. They have to make a decision. The hiring team has to make a decision. Will this person be successful here? That's what they're asking themselves, because guess what? They need to look good to their managers. And if they hire a group of people who never work out, they're not good managers. And so it's bad for them. And so, what are the things that they're thinking about as you're speaking, as you're answering questions? And one of the things that we always look for is this person excited to join this company? Does this person really want this job? Or are they coming in just because they're practicing their interview skills, or they're coming in because they're desperate, or does this person really want this job? And I cannot tell you how many hiring team meetings I have been in where the conversation comes down to two really qualified candidates, and the decision comes to who really wants this job the most.
Mm-hmm.
You need to show your excitement for the role. You need to show that you are not only capable, but you want it, that this is a good next step for you. You got to figure out why this is a good next step for you, because they want to hear that. They don't want to wonder, and Carrie used that expression I use all the time. They don't want to connect the dots. They want you to connect dots for them. It's up to you, the candidate, to, number one, build trust with that hiring team really quickly. Whether you're talking to one person or five people, you've got to build that trust really quickly. And number two, you've got to help them understand how you would fit into their team. And that's why some of the things that Carrie was talking about in terms of really understanding that job posting, you got to understand it. If you don't understand it, run it through chat. Let it help you understand what it is and how you
Yes.
match up and where the gaps are, so that you can start filling in the gaps yourself. That's sales 101. How do you counter an objection, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there's something you're missing, be prepared to be able to speak about that. It's okay. It's okay. They're not looking for perfect. They're looking for someone who understands how to get to the next level, who can understand how to add their value to their team, who's going to fit in with their team, who's not going to be, the rotten apple that we're going to have to get out in 6 months. They don't want that. They want someone who's excited to join and who's going to bring value as quickly as possible. So I just wanted to tell you that. And the other thing, that I love the CART method that Carrie is talking about. When you practice, and you should practice, you should have a timer on, because a lot of us talk too much. And when we talk too much, we talk ourselves out of a job. I saw that somewhere in the chat. I think Linda had said that.
Yeah.
Put that timer on. Do not go past 1 minute. 1 minute is a very, very long time. 30 seconds is better, but between 30 and a minute in a story is great. And so have that timer on so you force yourself to simplify. Force yourself to simplify. Yes, we know you're all brilliant in your fields, but you've got to make it simple enough for someone to understand really quickly. Okay, so that's my
Agreed. And I would also say that you do need to show your personality, right? Because people want to see who you are. And so that's also important. And that comes with the tone and the energy and all of those things. People resonate with that. And and the ways that when you can connect, something in common, that's going to make you stand out. But also they want to see who you are as a person. And so that is really important to make that as well. And yeah, Mindy, I agree with you. I think that's a really great strategy to put a timer on. That's a perfect way to do it. Because yeah, that way you know what you need to make smaller or shorter and get your message across really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so let's open the floor. I saw one question. I only saw one question so far, and hold on, let me go up. I saw it from, I think it was from Courtney. Was it before this?
Yeah, I was given the hiring manager's LinkedIn and saw that he was a cyclist and triathlete. And I,
Nice.
made a mental note of that and was ready to ask about that. And then when it came down to it, all of my questions were purely technical. And, I thought about it afterwards. Like, I could not resolve in my mind whether it felt unprofessional to take the conversation to his hobby, um, or to discuss that and endear myself to him.
No, and that's a really good point. And what you can also do is actually make it kind of the icebreaker. So like at the beginning of the conversation, you can say, and I know I noticed, that you have this love for, I was checking out your profile or whatever. It just means that you did your research. You could actually start the conversation with kind of that as an icebreaker, and then that'll kind of set the tone. And then even if it's all technical, that's okay. You actually you also had that opportunity. This is the other thing I would say, and I help people, try to think about it this way too. When you're in an interview, there are times, and you guys have probably had this happen, where the interviewer isn't a great interviewer. Listen, 90% of all hiring managers have never had formal training, so that's part of it. But also, they may not ask you or give you time to ask questions or to actually share your value and your worth. This is what I would do. Be prepared at the end of the conversation, even if you have a minute to say, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my expertise and the impact I can help you with, and share with them really quickly what that is. So be ready to have that conversation too. Again, because does happen. I've actually had lots of people where they're like, here, they didn't let me talk. And so you don't make sure that you get those pieces in, and it will make a difference. And even if it's a few minutes at the end of your conversation to show them how you can help them with the solutions, be a solution for what they're looking for. So was that helpful, Courtney?
Yeah, is that a test if they do all the talking? Or is that just
No.
like a sign of a bad hiring manager?
Again, and I don't really fault a lot of people because again, I don't think many of them have had formal training on interviews. I just think people have different styles, right? But no, I mean, it's not necessarily a test, but you should always have that opportunity. If they don't give it to you, you take that and make sure that you give them a few minutes of why you're the solution, because you need to make sure that they know what that is. Again, they're not going to connect the dots. You need to help them do that. So yeah, it's not a test, I don't think. That's a good question.
I will also tell you, Courtney and everyone else, I used to train interviewers, right? That was part of my job.
Yes,
And I used to
me
tell
too.
them there's an 80-20 rule. The interviewer should talk 20% of the time, and we should let the interviewee speak 80% of the time. And I had a manager come back to me. He says, no, I reverse it. I want to talk 80% of the time, and I'll let them, I know what I'm talking about. I don't need to hear that much from them. So there's all kinds of people who are interviewing. You can't control who's interviewing you. But yes, take every opportunity. And by the way, if you neglected to say something during the interview, don't worry about it, because what a fabulous opportunity to talk about it in your thank you note. Hey, I
Mhm.
forgot to mention that this and this, you mentioned this thing. I forgot to mention it. I can't believe it. I was so excited about this opportunity and talking to you. We had such a great rapport. I just wanted to mention this, and put it right in your thank you note. Great.
Yep.
Like, don't lose that opportunity. What a wonderful way to stay in their face and be memorable for them. Beautiful. We have a question from Christy. Christy,
Hey, thank you.
hi, of course.
So during this season of unemployment, I took a part-time job. It's something that's fun. I positioned it on LinkedIn as a intentional. I don't know how intentional, but I've tried to position it that way. Is there any feeling from a hiring manager that maybe I'm not as serious about a full-time job if I have a part-time at the moment? Is that an issue, do you think at all?
No, actually, no, I don't think they're going to see it as a negative. And again, so if you're currently, job searching, the idea that you actually are doing something part-time means that you're being proactive and you're not just sitting there doing anything. And so if you position it as, during your transition, right, that you're actually, working and looking for full time, no, I don't think so at all. I just think it's the way that you actually position what you've been doing, and it actually shows activity during this job search time frame, right? And so no, I don't see that. And again, it's really in how you position yourself and answering questions around why you're doing part-time and why you're looking for full-time.
And okay, that's the way I see it. And I'm glad to get a professional to confirm that. It's interesting because when I'm on LinkedIn, I see so many, in addition to my alma mater, I see so many former folks who worked at this retail location. So to me, that's encouraging as a means of reaching out and having that connection. Like, oh, you used to work here. I'm doing that right now. So I joke that this part-time job might just get me my full-time job.
Christy, I will add that when you're looking at job postings, you should start thinking about what transferable skills you are learning right now. Even if you're in a volunteer job, we
Yeah.
are always learning, right? And so, for example, if you're running the social media for your PTA, that is a skill that you are adding to your skill set, right? And start thinking about how you can position that in your future interviews. Hey, as a matter of fact, I'm running social media for my company now, for my my job now. It's not something that I do, but I could help you with that because now it's something I love. It's another skill that you have. So start thinking about and jotting down the new skills that you're learning at this retail position that you might be able to transfer into your new role.
Perfect. Thank you
Yeah,
so
and a
much.
way to hone your skills. Al said this in the chat. He said, I took this part-time job to help hone my skills. I took this position because I didn't want to go on assistance. And again, the idea that you're being proactive, people are going to see that as a positive. And like Mindy said too, tie back what those new skills that you're learning that could potentially help you in that new role. That's going to be a positive thing. And most people are not going to see that as a negative.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I love this. Courtney is helping a friend with his congressional campaign. Wow, you can probably learn a lot.
Wow.
I bet.
Right now we're
That's
a team
amazing.
of two, so
Love that.
the power disappears if I disappear.
Oh my goodness.
I love that. And in answer to your
That's
other
awesome.
question, Courtney, yes, you can have multiple conversations with people. You said, is it too late to say something else? The next conversation, maybe wait a week or so, but you have another opportunity to say, hey, just as a reminder, blah, blah, blah. You can absolutely do that. We want to be professionally persistent. That's not every day. It's not every hour, but once a week is fine. Just touching base. And by the way, when you're touching base, one of the things that you can do is send them an article, send them something that you have read that would pique their interest, that you know they're interested in. Hey, I just saw this article. I thought you might be interested in it. Now don't ask them, where am I in the job position? Am I going to get the job? Don't ask that question, but be persistent in their face with helpful and valuable information.
And I'll just mention that Linda put in the chat too. She said for the part-time role, she said great wording is using the phrase while looking for my next role as I took on this position. So then it positions you in a place where you're doing this as you're still continuing to look for full-time. So that was really good suggestion too.
I just put the PDF into the chat. Anyone who would like to take that is Carrie's gift to you guys. It's a beautiful handout, and you should definitely take advantage of that. And yes, be careful of scams. We have coming up in June a scam professional who's going to be talking to us about how job seekers should be careful. And I just got a call this morning of someone who said, I got a part-time job and it's paying me $40 an hour. I'm so excited. I said, tell me a little bit about it. I said, it sounds a little scammy to me. You need to dig a little deeper. And sure enough, he came back 20 minutes later. They had actually mirrored the actual company, and the company was aware of it, and they said, yeah, it's a scam. So we're not paying $40 an hour, and that job doesn't exist here. So that's Mark Anthony Tyson's coming in. I think that's his name, in June, to talk about
in June.
Yeah,
that'll be really good.
Very, very good. All righty, we are at time, everyone. I don't see any other questions, so I am so excited that you all were here today. Thank you, Carrie, so much. You are welcome back anytime. And Carrie has been a fixture in our calls. She's always commenting and contributing. So thank you so much. We're so thankful that you're here with us and gave us such good information. We're all going to start using the T, I think, in our star. You know, a lot of people use this star system, but I like the idea of tying it back to the company. Very smart. Very smart.
Absolutely.
Learned a lot.
Absolutely.
There's a timer, everyone. By the way, there's timers everywhere. You can get them up online and easy to use. We'll see you next week, next month. Al, don't forget to sign up for Al's presentation. It's
Come
going to be
see Al. He's
awesome.
amazing.
The link is in your chat. Save the chat. Lots of great information, and watch for my nuggets tomorrow. I always post at 8 a.m. So take a look at it, and maybe your name will be featured. You never know.
That's right. Thank you, Mindy.
Thank you,
You're amazing.
everyone. Have a
Thank you.
great
You
week.
guys have a great rest of your week. Thank you.